Alright guys, welcome to day 3 of week 7 of chemistry in quarantine. So day 1 we did an intro to forensic science. Day 2 we started talking about crime scene investigation terminology. And day 3, congratulations, you're here, is going to be about crime scene investigation procedures. So we're getting deeper into how we actually investigate a crime scene. And then don't forget day 4, which is Thursday, May 7th at 11 a.m. You do have a quiz via Zoom, so be sure you are present for that. Everything from day 1 through 3 is going to be on that. Let me know if you have any questions about it. All right, let's go ahead. Let's start with crime scene investigation procedures. So the first thing that we're going to do when a crime happens and when forensic scientists or crime scene investigators are called onto the scene, we are going to be responsible for making the scene secure. So it's important that we put the little yellow tape, police line, do not cross, so that way nobody comes into the scene that's not allowed to be in there and disturbs or disrupts any type of evidence. We also want to make sure that there's no danger. So just because you enter into a scene doesn't mean that there's not something dangerous that we need to be aware of. So police officers, crime scene investigators, forensic scientists, all of those people are responsible for walking in, making sure that a crime scene is completely safe and secure. What we're going to do is an initial walkthrough because we want to get an overall feel for the crime. So we want to figure out if anything's been moved, say something like windows have been broken, anything strange has been left out. So any type of feel for a crime scene. So sometimes a crime scene can have a malicious intent feel to it, and other times maybe it doesn't. So this is a super lame example, but even in National Treasure, when he steals the Declaration of Independence, that is a crime scene, right? So you could definitely feel between him and the guy, what's the other guy who's trying to steal the Declaration? But Nicolas Cage is trying to steal the Declaration so that way the other guy doesn't steal the Declaration. Anyways, bad example. So more specifically, if anyone moved anything before arriving, and they also are responsible for generating initial theories based on visual examination. Now, you can't go too far with this because if you walk into a crime scene and immediately think this person did it, you might now have that lens when you look at all of the evidence. So it's important to have an open mind when you walk onto a crime scene. And the important thing to do with a crime scene at this point is do not touch anything. Do not touch anything. I cannot tell you how many cases I've read about that there was just sloppy police work or sloppy crime scene investigation involved, and things were touched or things were moved that shouldn't have been moved or touched, or people weren't wearing masks or weren't wearing gloves, and the whole evidence was tainted because of that. So it's really important that you do not touch anything at this stage of crime scene investigation. After the walkthrough, we're going to actually document what it is that we're seeing. So we're going to be taking pictures, we're going to be drawing sketches. Sometimes they actually do what's called a video walkthrough where somebody actually has a video camera and they go through every single part of the crime scene. So that way nothing is missed. And also, if something is missed, they're able to go back to the footage and try to figure out how they can either obtain that physical evidence again, maybe recreate it, or hopefully if they have good enough footage, they can rely on that as their physical evidence. So after we've done our walkthrough and we've also documented the crime, then it's going to be time for us to actually touch stuff and to collect potential evidence. So let's say that a jewelry store was robbed and we are trying to figure out who robs the jewelry store. So in order to figure out this crime, we are going to have to collect potential evidence and tag it and log it and package it. So we don't just collect potential evidence, but we also have to figure out what's missing. So let's say that there's a diamond missing. We're going to have to tag that missing area where the diamond was taken from because that might lead us to clues. There might be some fingerprint dusting that we could do in order to figure out who took it. But also if we had any hair samples or anything that was out of the ordinary, broken glass or anything like that, we could actually tag it. So you know those little yellow cone things? Actually, I think I have it in the picture right before. I do, look at that. So she's taking pictures and you see those little yellow tags that says 3 and 5 right there. So we have to tag every single piece of evidence that's either there or missing, something that's missing. So like a missing diamond would be tagged as evidence even though it's not physical evidence. It's the absence of evidence, I guess. So we have that to tag because we then will log it with all the other evidence. And so in every single case, we would have this huge log of all the evidence that has been tagged and collected, and we do that so that way homicide detectives or anybody who's working on the crime, whatever the crime may be, is able to refer back to that log of evidence. But it also is great for if there's a cold case, which cold case means that there's no leads whatsoever, so the crime hasn't been solved. So let's say there's a cold case from 20 years ago that gets reopened and starts getting reinvestigated. Somebody can actually go back and look at the evidence log, and that evidence should still be there and should be tagged and everything. And so if there's enough of a DNA sample still available on that piece of evidence, we can retest the DNA. So very, very cool stuff that we can do, but we have to make sure that we package the evidence correctly, because some things actually have to come with us to the forensics lab in order to test. So it's important that we do it very carefully. We have to wear masks, we have to wear gloves, we have to do everything correctly, because if we screw it up, we can either taint the evidence, we can lose the evidence, or miss other evidence that's available on the scene. So we have to be really careful when we collect things, and we have to be careful when we take it over to the forensics lab for testing. The last thing that's going to happen in the crime scene investigation procedure is the crime lab is going to process all of the evidence that we just collected. So that's where forensic scientists really come into play. So we are responsible for doing fingerprint analysis, DNA testing, all of that fun stuff in order to get results. And once the results come in, we're going to go to the lead homicide detective on the case, and hopefully that is going to lead them in the right direction to solving the mystery. So that is it for day 3. Remember, you have a quiz on day 4, which is Thursday, May 7th at 11 a.m. I know I sound like a broken record, but I don't want anybody to forget. That is via Zoom, and you also have your last test with me on May 14th at 11 a.m. as well. All right, guys, love you a lot.